Ginger, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good to have you, Victor.
I'm fine.
Welcome to Life Today.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about your book, Kind of Like Grace. Let's see. How do we frame this best? You think? Tell what the two of you are about, or go back to your which place is good to start?
I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, I heard first.
Me first? Oh,
and then we'll
okay.
introduce you. And
I'll be in the middle, or
You'll just leap in when you think it's good.
Okay. So give us a little background on your story.
Yeah, I always like to tell people, I grew up in church. Okay. I was the quintessential kid that was picked up on the church bus and taken there, and there every time the doors were opened. Grew up, married, kept going to church, raised my kids, homeschooled, all this, and looking back now, I can honestly say I never connected what I knew in my head. The verses that I had heard in Christian school and the sermons that I had heard and the things that I knew to be true, never connected in my head. I had knowledge of God, right? Like it says in Romans 1, I had this knowledge of God, but I had never developed a relationship with Christ. And, that's one of the things that I really want people to know is that when you truly have experienced God and He has moved in your life and you know Christ, your life looks different, radically different. And, it didn't. I was living a, quotation marks, Christian life.
Yeah, you're a cultural Christian.
Exactly, very much
sense,
so.
yeah.
If we want to, definitely use that term. And, I had this beautiful family. I had a husband that loved me. I had everything in the world. I had wonderful kids, homeschooled, went to church, and was just so unhappy. And I started looking around. I always tell people the enemy of your soul, he knows what your weakness is. And started looking around and I had friends telling me, you deserve to be happy. You deserve so much more. You deserve.
Well, there's a dangerous line right there.
Isn't it though? It's what I always tell people. The worst advice I ever received was somebody telling me you deserve to be happy.
I think I actually wrote a book called God Wants You to Be Happy, so I'm going to be a little defensive here.
Yeah.
The problem is that the word in the English language has two very different definitions. One of them is pleasure.
That's right.
And one of them is joy.
That's right. Totally different.
So it depends. It could depend on how you hear that. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have Christ's joy in you. Do you not? Yes, we do. Do you deserve to live for your own pleasure, which is kind of the way we tend to take it.
Yeah, well, sure. And particularly, I think when you're in that position, it's really easy to surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, sure. Well, then they're the ones you listen to.
Exactly.
So
it's
where did that lead you?
Well, I had a relationship outside of my marriage.
Yeah.
And left my husband.
And
left
the happiness
my children.
just followed, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Yes, life has been all roses ever since then. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm grateful that God allowed me to experience the devastating consequences of my decision. I'm so grateful that He did. And
that's interesting that you say that, because the first reaction usually is God, get me out of this. I've made a mess. Get me out of this.
I knew before I did it. I knew before I did it that it was wrong. And I was that quintessential kid that God holds out His gifts and His love and His mercy and His forgiveness. And I just slapped it out of His hand and said, no, I want to do what I want to do.
And so He let you feel the consequences.
Yes, He did. And I'm so grateful.
For your benefit.
Yes. For my good and His glory.
So what did it do on the good side? Where did it bring you back?
It brought me to my knees. I mean, I did. I realized very quickly that there is no joy, there's no fulfillment in living that life apart from God. And, He just forgave and redeemed and restored much. But even to this day, that's one of the things I struggle with telling my story. Because people say, well, you have a great marriage now, and you've got a home, and you've got a husband, and your kids love you, and everything looks fantastic. So see, it all worked out. But, the harsh reality of the situation is there's still so much brokenness.
You've got an ex.
Yes, I do, and there's his family's angry with me. There's still so much damage in my children's lives. Oh, my goodness, so many consequences that I still deal with. 8 years later, still deal with the damage that was done in my kids' lives. And, you know, and I have this struggle where I think, you know, it's, Lord, why did you allow me to find you and be restored? And yet there's still this, you know, wake of destruction, you know, that was there. But I know that God can use everything for
good. Yeah,
good.
yeah, working all things together, and that usually implies a lot of bad things.
It does.
For good.
It does.
Did owning up to your mistakes help in any way, you think?
Absolutely.
Outside of just for yourself,
Yeah.
but with your family. And
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, that was really one of the things. I think I've always been a person who blamed everything on everyone else because it was, you know, it was all about me. That's what we always want to hear. It's all about me. Well, it's not. And, you know, I think once I discovered the freedom in saying, I sinned, I was wrong, I'm sorry. My husband said, do you have to apologize? And I said, if I am wrong, I want to tell you. And I mean, it's like this relief to just own up to things and just say, yeah, I did that. And I am so terribly sorry. You know,
that's good.
Yeah, it taught me to not be so selfish.
Yeah, yeah, and it you know, makes it easier for those that you're right, and that need to forgive you. It makes it opens the door for that. Doesn't mean they're going to walk through.
No, it absolutely does not.
Yeah. So great story in a sense of coming back to a redeemed place. Where did this guy come from?
He followed me home from the grocery store one day.
Snuck up on her.
That's right. Snuck up on me. Yeah.
Actually, just the opposite, because when I hear you were driving around your hometown and seeing him on a regular basis.
Yeah, every day, daily,
Yeah.
daily for months, for too many months. Actually, it embarrasses me to say how long I saw him. But you know, it was one of those things I had been praying and going, okay, so Lord, I want to progress in my relationship with you. I want to learn to be like you. I know that, you know, that's the way that I need to live my life. So I started saying, I do not love other people. I am this self-centered, selfish woman. You know, have never cared about anybody other than myself. See somebody on the street and I'd be thinking, just get a job, what's your problem? You know, and really started recognizing that was such a problem. And so I started saying, Lord, you're going to have to teach me to love people the way that you do, because I don't have it. And so I really think that no matter where I went, it seemed like he was in front of me. I don't know, every time I got in my car.
You were not looking for someone to help.
No, absolutely not. I just kept saying, teach me to love people. And so I started seeing Victor, and then I started saying, well, I can love him. Lord, send someone to help him. If you would, just send someone to help him, Lord. I felt like I was being really loving. Yeah.
In the Old Testament, you got, here am I, send me. But it's like today we're like, here they are, send someone. Right?
I know, send someone else. And he's like, and that song was popular, you know. What was it? I can't remember who sang it, that song. It says, Lord, I see all these things around me, and, you know, send someone to help them. And he says, well, I did. I made you.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
what's your problem?
Right. I think that's the answer.
Yeah.
So what were you doing out there, Victor? What was she seeing?
I was just sightseeing, you know, the people and the places and the things, and, you know.
Well, you were at the same place for a long time.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, I wasn't complaining. I was just in a spot like temporarily, but I knew God would show up, you know, on time. I mean, not when you ask him, but he'll come when he needs
his own time.
And yeah, he'll invite himself in your life and and throw a party, you know, and you know, like and just, you know, fulfill all your needs and just make sure everything is taken care of. You know, even if it's in front of you or you don't see it or you don't hear it. He'll make it happen, and everything will be possible. And you know, he'll just make you shine brighter than you ever imagined. You know, he'll just you know, like bring people into your life, and you know, different situations will change, and you'll gradually get better. And you know, I matured, and I just started accepting, you know, like the situation. You know, I didn't ask for it, you know. But I felt in my heart that he will make a change, and you know, it's been a long time coming. But the Lord, you know, he works in mysterious ways, and he gets the job done. You know,
he was at the same corner for a long time.
Yeah.
And you noticed that.
Yeah.
And then one day she just hop out of her car and say hi or
Yeah.
what? Yeah, literally.
Pretty much, yeah. The
Introduce
Lord
yourself.
prodded me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Well,
did.
it's interesting to say that you're talking to God, and eventually He started talking to you about Victor, and Victor says he was waiting on the Lord to intervene maybe in his life, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I know.
so do you ever wonder, like, if you made him wait longer than he should have?
I know. I wonder about that sometimes, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding you.
No,
a
it's
little
all
bit.
right.
But tell me what happened.
Initially, I just stopped intending, can I give you some money? Can I call someone? What do you need? Was my
Right,
intent to say,
right.
what can I do for you? But what I didn't know what to do with is when Victor says, I'm good, I don't need anything.
You're right. This is
And
like
I-
the opposite of what you expect.
I know, it's totally opposite of what I expected. And I was like, well, I'm not really sure what to do with all that.
Yeah.
And it really, what he wanted more than anything else, and I know that he would agree with me, is he just wanted company. Like he never asked me to bring him anything or do anything for him. He was the happiest when I would just go hang out. He wanted a
So
friend.
had he been left alone?
Yeah. Well, there were lots of people in our community who gave him money, who gave him jackets, who brought him good stuff to eat, would visit with him. So lots of people checked on him.
Yeah.
But I think the deal was, once I got to talking to him, what I realized is he doesn't really need someone to bring him another Subway sandwich. There's like something beyond that we're needing.
Right. So what's going on with him? Why is he having a tough time?
He had lived nearby, and his mother had moved, and he didn't know where she was, and loved her very much, and just wanted to make sure that when she came back around, that she would be able to know where he was at. And so that was his neighborhood where he was used to being.
I just needed to feel like I belonged to something, that was in the God world. Like I always felt loved by myself, but like people are hard on you. Like they give you they look at you one time and then they forget about you, or they hear about you and they forget about you. And I like pay attention. It's something going on. It's more than me. It's a lot of people like me. I represent a lot of people. And I just feel like, like I was searching for a family, I was searching for friends, and and I was like, I never forgot about my mom. She always stayed on my heart, and I just knew God was gonna bring somebody else into my life to replace that parenthood, And
So is that what you did?
yeah, she was sort of like my mother too, I mean. Yeah, that's what I believe in.
I tell him it's always good to have more than one. You can never have too many moms hovering about you.
Yeah, and just different people just filled in those gaps that I need to make my life feel complete.
Did he ever find his mother?
Yeah.
Finally.
You know what I've always admired about Victor was even when he was struggling with that, and people would really want to say things about his mom that were really negative and hard. And they would say to me, well, how dare she? Leave him there. And I would always go back and say, I left my children to go out and fulfill my dreams. And, it's kind of culturally acceptable. So many people divorce and leave their kids. Oh, they're going to be fine. And so in my point, I was like, so what right do I have to judge her? Because what I did was no different. What I did was no different. And I've learned so much about not judging people because it's hard to make ends meet. And, she had a rough life when she was growing up when she was a kid. She's never had it easy. And so I just, Victor really taught me, really in his attitude toward his mother, no matter what happened, he loves her. He's been loyal to her, has never said anything negative about her, never any kind of animosity. And just that unconditional forgiveness. And he told me when I very first met him, he said, I love my mother. I want to honor my father and mother like it says in the Bible. And I said, if you're going to honor your parents, then I will honor them. And so I have nothing to say that's unkind. But he makes sure that he stays in touch with her. And he says, I'm a good son. I check on my mom and make sure she's okay.
I embrace my mom because God gave her to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
It's like something you can't avoid. You can't avoid that.
That's right.
Some people do, though.
I know.
You can't avoid family.
Yeah.
I know.
Good for you for not.
I know.
So what Ginger do for you?
I mean, she's family, and I mean, and she just like, you know, like we have Bible time together, and that's like always a booster. You know, it always lifts me up, gives me a good attitude at the end of the day. Like I did something for God, and, you know, feel more responsible, and, you know, and just, you know, I like try to reach out to whoever I can who needs help. You know, and I talk to people who am, like at work, and we get along. And
Where do you work?
Burger King.
Nice.
Yeah, and you know, I just you know, try to be a mentor to, you know, people, you know, that have it hard. You
He
know?
did. He calls me a couple weeks ago, and he said, this boy came into Burger King, and he said, I know that he didn't have anywhere to stay. And he was this kid that was on the street.
Yeah.
And Victor picks him up and befriends him and, you know, talks to him and tries to, you know, and it's not always a success story.
Sure.
But it's just the willingness to reach out to people.
Yeah.
But Victor is doing fantastic. So he works full time. He has a house. He has a roommate. He pays all his own bills. He's an independent guy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We're very proud of him.
Yeah, it's the whole principle, but you know, like behind like trying to help somebody. You know, like, you know, don't think about yourself all the time. You know.
I get the idea that you spend most of your time thinking about others.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I mean, it's partially because I've been placed in a situation.
Yeah.
But it's also because you know, I don't like to see people sad and down and poor with, you know, clothes falling off their bodies and, you know, smelling bad, and, you know.
I think most people smile when they see you coming.
Especially if you're living without God and you're on this earth, you know. It's kind of weird, you know.
He sounds like an ambassador to a lot of people that a lot of Christians don't know how to reach.
So
It's very true.
So I just try to step in and do my part, you know.
He
Yeah.
does. He's very positive.
Yeah, I can
This is
tell.
the no negativity zone
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
Good for you, man.
That's a good way to put it.
Because
Yeah.
when you know, when you've had a difficult life, it can be real easy to get real negative.
Yeah.
So how do you not ever get negative?
You know, I just pay attention to nature that God made, and, you know, like,
God reveals Himself in nature.
you know,
Yes,
and you know, you get sunny days, you get rainy days. He'll give you a little bit of everything, you know. So, and that's what makes life worth living for, you know. A little bit of everything, enough of everything, you know. And love is the most important thing that you should have, and that's the important resource you should have, you know. And you should share it with people, you know, and like bring them to know God. Yeah.
See, I think this is all great.
Yeah.
But I was online, which is the worst place to go. 'Cause
I know,
it seems
right? What are you doing
I
there?
know,
Good night.
right? Just because it seems like all the backbenchers come out and all the critics decide that it's their place to vent.
Oh, for sure.
And one thing I read, and I just want to get your take on it. It was so wrong. But they looked at that and said, they looked at your story and said, okay, so here's a woman who made a bunch of mistakes, and now she's trying to make herself feel better by going out and helping somebody.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh.
I know.
You've heard this.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing
For
new.
sure, no.
What's your response to that?
I think that's far from the truth. She wasn't trying to make herself feel good. And, I mean, it probably seemed like that, but it's not. That's not the case, you know. I mean, she always let me know that she loved doing what she was doing, and I you know, I could feel the love, you know. And it's more than just seeing, you know. I could feel it, you know. And you know, and you know, I mean, if you live under the same roof, you get to know people better, and I felt close, and I felt loved, and you know, like I was like to be around, you know. So it was okay with me, you know. Everything was fine for me. You know.
Yeah.
That's the only answer I need to hear right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Right?
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it. Cool. I want people to check out the book.
Appreciate
Do you
it.
have a website just for the book people can go to?
It's kind of like grace.com.
Kind of like Grace. The title. Tell me about the title. Kind of like Grace.
And one of the first interviews we did, the guy that was interviewing Victor asked him why, and, you know, this is not a Christian media, just a secular media guy, and he asked Victor, so what do you think? Why in the world would Ginger stop and talk to you even?
Yeah.
And Victor says, in his way that he does, well, God did it. It was just kind of like grace. So not the coolest thing, I know.
But you know what? That's some serious insight.
I know.
Because that's exactly what it is.
See, we help each other, you know. We push each other to the limit, you know.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So much great going on here. Thank you both.
Thank you.
No problem, no
Today,
problem.
Sitting down and
It's a
sharing
pleasure
a little bit of your
to
story.
meet you, yeah.